Let's continue our IPAM journey with installing and configuring IPAM on Windows Server 2012. And of course, a prerequisite if you want to follow along is that you need a server on which you have to install IPAM. And what will we do? Install the IPAM role, then go through a couple of steps to configure IPAM, and then I want to make a basic IPAM walkthrough and a management tasks walkthrough. Just some basic tasks so you understand what you could do with this tool. So without further ado, let's get to work. Okay, so I'm on my future IPAM server, and the first thing we need to do, of course, is to install the IPAM role. And I want to do this from PowerShell. There will be a lot of things actually that we will not be able to do from PowerShell in IPAM. So at least the 2 or 3 things that we can, I want to do them right. So then. And you will see that after this has been installed, a new tab will appear in Server Manager with the IPAM configuration tasks. Okay, IPAM is installed. Now check it out in Server Manager. If we refresh, here it is. Now we have IPAM. If you click on it, then it will take you to the overview screen where we should now see all the steps that we need to make in order to configure it, because right now IPAM is not configured. And remember I said it's not too hard to configure it. Well, here it is. Number 1 is connect to IPAM server, and this has been done automatically since we are on the local server. So we can go to number 2, provision the IPAM server. And this is the basic install, let's say, of IPAM, the basic configuration. We have the choice to create the group policies for the firewall rules for the managed servers, or to make the firewall rules manually. And we will create group policies. Let's say the group policies will be created with a prefix. And the prefix, let's say we call it IPAM. And we just hit apply, and now the IPAM server will create our group policies and link them to the domain. Done. Okay, now the next thing is to configure server discovery. And this means that we will select that we want to discover all servers that could be managed that are in this domain. Then we can specify the roles that we want to be discovered, and we just hit OK. Of course, the 4th step is to discover the actual servers. And this actually runs a scheduled task that does this in the background. So after about maybe 2 minutes, the task has finished and we should have some servers discovered. And in step 5, we need to select which servers that have been discovered we want to manage. And you see that we have the 2 domain controllers and the 2 DHCP servers with their respective roles found. Before we do anything else, I want to show you something in group policy. How the policies that have been created by IPAM actually look, and what will happen to them after we set that we want the servers to be managed. Oh, actually, I forgot one thing. In order for the group policies to be created, it's good that I looked. We have to also run a PowerShell command, which I put in this file, which you can find on GitHub. It's good that I remembered. So we have to run invoke IPAM GPO provisioning, give it the domain, the prefix name that we set also in the interface, and the IPAM server. And now the GPOs should be created and also linked to the domain. And now you see them, IPAM DC, DHCP and DNS. And let's go for example to DNS. This security filtering is what IPAM uses to manage servers. So right now these three objects are linked to the domain, but they do not apply to anything. They only apply to servers that are allowed to be applied to them. You will see once we add servers to manage what happens. So to add servers to be managed, we just edit the server. Okay. This is correct. This is a DC and DNS server. And we just say, I want to manage it. Click OK. And now, although it's managed, the firewall rules are still not up because, of course, GPO has not run on DC01. But if we look at the DNS rule, we can see that now this server will get this GPO. So let's do the same for the other remaining servers. Okay, managed. Managed. This is only the DHCP. And this is also only DHCP. So it's correct, managed. We can say invoke command, script block, and in script block we have to say gp update /force, and we run them on DC01, DC02, DHCP01 and DHCP02. And did I... Oh, of course it did not work. Force. And now it will run on the force servers gp update force to force the application of group policy. And in IPAM then we should see that the access is not blocked anymore. Okay, let's refresh. I think it's refresh, or I think it's refresh status. Let's try again to run the task and then refresh the IPAM interface. Okay, refresh, still okay, the CPO1 unblocked, so I don't know, I have to run this on each server. I hope not. Interesting, very interesting. Why this appears that it's blocked when it should not be blocked normally. Seems that maybe there are some bugs in IPAM still. Let's try for both of them to retrieve the access status. And maybe I'm lucky. So DHCP02 seems to have a problem. So I'm really trying to make this not staged. So you see that maybe you also will have some slight problems. So this seems really to have some issues. So I will look into why this is still showing as blocked, even though it should not show as blocked. But we can continue our journey into IPAM because we have at least the bare minimum of what we need. Okay. So now that the servers have been, most of the servers actually have been imported, we can see in server inventory the actual servers that we manage, the ones that are unblocked and the ones that are still showing up as blocked by IPAM. In the next three sections, it's where it gets a little interesting because we have the IP address blocks. For now, we don't have any address block, we have to create one. We have address inventory, which is the used IP addresses, and we have the IP address ranges. We can also change some of these views from here. But first and foremost, let's go to blocks and make sure that we are in the blocks view and create a new address block. Add IP address block. The network ID is 192.168.10.0. Prefix length is 24. And for start address, since the 01 is the network ID, we use the first one, the one with .1, and also the last one is a broadcast address, so we will set 254. Okay, and let's say that the date is today. And basically this is it. We now have our IP address container, which has 254 addresses, but none of them are used. And we will see why none of them are used. Now we have IP address ranges, and in this case we need to retrieve address space data so we can discover our DHCP scope. Okay, and you see that DHCP scope has been discovered automatically on this DHCP01. And of course in address blocks, now it should show us that we have 101 assigned addresses. So from this block we already carved out a small amount of addresses that we assigned to this DHCP scope. But we can have ranges that are not managed by Microsoft DHCP. We can have ranges that are managed by IPAM directly, so statically assigned IP addresses. Let's create one. Add IP address range, and our range will start, let's see, okay, network ID 192.168.10.0. the prefix length is still 24. Start IP address is correct, and the last IP address is 49 because the scope begins with 50. So between 1 and 49 we can have statically assigned IP addresses by IPAM. The service instance is localhost because this is the server on which we manage this IP address range. Assignment type is static. Let's also set the date for today. And this is basically what we can do. And now if we go back to the address block and again refresh, you see more used IP addresses. The next thing we can do is, of course, in importing to IPAM the addresses that we have assigned already statically, and it will not discover them automatically. We either have to import them manually, or we can use a CSV file, or we can use maybe a PowerShell script, but it will not discover automatically the addresses that were used. So let's add the IP address for DC01 manually, so I can show you how you can do that. Go in Tasks, add IP address, and the IP address is part of the IPAM managed range. So 192.168.10.1, it's managed by IPAM, service instance is correct. You can select from different device types, as you can see from this list. Host is okay in my opinion. The address state is in use. The assignment type is static. We can say that the assignment date is today, and we don't set an expiry date because we want the server to continue using this IP address throughout its lifetime. We can give different info here. Then we have DHCP reservation. We don't need to create one. We have DNS record synchronization. The device name is DC01. The forward lookup zone, of course, is testcorp.com. The primary server is DC01. The reverse lookup zone is the only zone that we have. And the primary server for that one is the same. We can also give this entry different values, like the AD site and other things, which we'll not need. And also these custom properties, you can extend them with your own. If you have maybe buildings, floors, rooms, I don't know, different racks and so on, you can add a lot of these configurations so you can customize your entries. Let's hit apply and OK. And now we see that we have the address selected for the DC01, and it's in the range from 1 until 49, so it's correct. So this is how we add addresses manually, but we can also, for example, run PowerShell scripts and create CSV files with all our servers that are statically assigned addresses. And let me show you how a CSV file might look like. So we have import.csv, and we have a very simple example with only the basic things here. And we are going to use this file and add the other remaining servers. So you see 192.168.10.2. We have also 192.168.10.3, which is the actual IPAM server. It's managed by IPAM. Localhost. This is a host. It's in use. It's static. And the name of the server is IPAM01. So this is the file that we will import. Let's copy it to the server, of course. And we will put it on the desktop where it belongs. And we can use to import, we can either import it from here, from tasks, import IP addresses, or we could use a PowerShell command to do it, and I choose to use PowerShell because I'm bored. And let me show you what the command is. So this is the command, but first of all I want to show you that you can get a list of the commands that you can use to manage IPAM with get command module IPAM server. Because I'm logged on another server. Okay, So these are all the commands. In 2012, yeah, it's not that great, the selection of commands, but as OSs went further, they expanded. But no matter, now let's import the file, and here's how we do it. With the import command, we want to import all the addresses under the IPv4 address family. We use force so we are not asked 1,000,000 times. And let's put the file on C so it's a little more simpler. I don't have to modify then the command. Directly on C in computer, in C. Okay. Let's import module. Maybe now it works. No. Let's restart the server. Restart and then we try again. Okay, let's try again. Yeah, I think we needed a restart. 4 out of 4 objects successfully imported. Now let's go into the IPAM interface and see if they actually appear the way they should appear. IP address, ranges. Now let's change to the view of IP addresses. And here we are. We have all the servers now imported. And if we look into IP address ranges, correct, we should see now the IP addresses that are given out. So we have 49 addresses in total, and we have 5 utilized addresses. Percentage used is 10%. One thing regarding the DHCP scopes, unfortunately the IP addresses are not imported automatically, so you have to make a task that will read the DHCP lists from servers and then populate the information in this entry. Okay, let's move on now to monitoring and to multi-server management. Like I said, you can, for example, see all your servers. This one says still that it's not reachable, and still I find it strange. Why? So I don't know, but you see that the services are running. You can select to only see DHCP. You see, so DNS servers, the two DCs, it shows that we have 2 zones on them. And DHCP servers, it shows also the two servers that are running. DHCP02 does not have any scopes, and DHCP01 has 1 scope. But you see, at least it shows us that the DHCP service is actually running. And since it's a multi-server management solution, we could do some stuff. We could create scopes directly from IPAM, for example, or we could launch the MMC connected to the specified server if we can do something from IPAM. Yeah, retrieve server data. You find this basically everywhere. And we can see the DHCP scopes. We can edit a scope with all its properties. If we had more scopes, we could edit them at the same time. If, for example, we needed to say all scopes need to assign this DNS server or that DNS server. You also have a lot of information usually in this details view with all the options and also events if you want to check it out. As far as DNS goes, it's very simple. It only shows us if a DNS zone is okay, judging by the event log that it collects, so it's nothing too impressive. What you could do is navigate from here through the DNS zone let me see if I remember how it's done. Okay, and you see you can see different stuff. You can also see reverse zones and so on. And we also have the event catalog with its different views, and we can see IPAM configuration events like adding addresses, adding address spaces, and other things. We can see DHCP configuration events, or everything that we configure in DHCP, and we can track assignment of IP addresses, which for now we do not have because we did not grant any IP addresses. But if we did, we could search either by IP address to see the history of that IP address, or by client ID, and so on. One last thing that I want to show you is where the actual scheduled tasks for IPAM are. So if we open Task Scheduler, we go to Microsoft, Windows, and here we should find IPAM. And these are all the tasks that IPAM uses to populate its database, which, by the way, it's a Windows internal database, so you don't have to use SQL Server, and you can't use SQL Server in 2012. It's only a WID database. So that was mostly it for the short view of IPAM. Now in the next video, if you want to follow along, please create another server, because we are going to check out WSUS, or Windows Server Update Services, so we can bring updates into our domain. If you liked this video, then I would appreciate if you subscribe, like, and share it, and see you in the next one.